Ooh, wrong thing. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Michael Anthony, and today we are trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with WWE and TKO. My personal theory before I get into this video and before I watch this video, bro, I think WWE is trying to kill. No, I think TKO is trying to kill WWE. I believe this shit. I believe they really are. You can't make that. You can't make those that many amount of shitty business decisions, and you can't make that many releases without trying to without a certain agenda. I think long term they're trying to massacre that whole fucking company. Just right after they finish ringing it and sucking it dry for everything good and money wise they have to offer. It's fucked up, but let's get into the video. Cody Rhodes on the thumbnail. Shout out Cody Rhodes. Let's get into this video, boys. TKO, we're watching a video about Wrestle Fun. Shout out to them. TKO is ruining WWE on purpose. And here's why. I never watched it. Don't want no pre-wash. Don't want no, okay, we never watched the allegations.
Look at Edge's face. January 26th, 2020. Minute Maid Park, Houston, Texas. Entry number 21. The lights cut. And before the crowd finds...
No, before I even, I look, what a beautiful entrant. What a beautiful return. I never seen an entrance that gave me goosebumps at such an old age. Fucking 21. So this took place 6 years ago. When I didn't know that shit took place in 2020 because I wasn't watching wrestling no more. But yeah.
Its voice, before the building remembers how to function. He is standing in the entrance light, mouth open, eyes lifted above the crowd, the specific, unguarded expression of a man who has just walked into a room he was told he would never be allowed to enter again. There is no performance in it, just pure, unprocessed shock at his own existence in that moment. Then 50,000 people detonate around him. 9 years. He had left with a cervical spine that doctors told him would kill him if he went back. The sport processed his absence the way it always does, briefly, awkwardly, then moving forward, until Edge became a name that lived in the past tense. A legend, a plaque, a reference point for what greatness used to look like. Everyone knew that it was scripted.
That one Grayson Waller move, that shit hard though. This shit kind of loud. I'm gonna have to turn this bitch down. Respectfully.
Known for their ability to adapt.
That bitch loud as fuck.
A creative team planned that entrance and anticipated the reaction. None of that was secret. Yet none of it changed what the moment felt like. This is the difficult thing about professional wrestling. It is not about the outcome. The outcome has been predetermined, and the audience knows it, and yet something is genuinely at stake. What is at stake is the audience's feeling. The specific, real emotion that thousands of people are willing to invest into scripted confrontations between performers playing characters they have inhabited for years. The moment that investment pays off, the moment a crowd erupts for something planned and rehearsed, the emotion becomes real. The investment was real. The gratitude was real. Wrestling accumulates this way. Every match ever contested is a deposit into a record the audience carries. They remember. They carry those memories into arenas and read every new development against the history they have absorbed. That investment cannot be manufactured after the fact. It is built slowly, through presence and consistency, through years of moments people chose to believe in. This is the story of what happens when the people who acquire that record don't understand what they purchased. The history of Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes have been building toward exactly that interval. In 2008, Cody Rhodes was a second-generation prospect in the shadow of his father. Dusty Rhodes was a god in this business, the American dream, the working-class hero, the fat man from Austin, Texas, who wrestled in polka dots and talked like a preacher and sold the...
This shit is about, the TKO problem, right? Okay. It is 30 minutes. Let's give it a time to kick in. I mean, but damn, though,
fantasy of a working man rising against the
shout out to everybody talking
with more
about
sincerity than any performer of his era. Cody carried that name and the weight it came with every time he walked through a curtain. Randy Orton took him under his arm. The Legacy faction positioned Orton as the patriarch, ruthless, calculating, already a multi-time world champion, and Cody as the protege. The arrangement communicated something specific. Orton was dominant enough to shape careers around him, and Cody was hungry enough to accept a subordinate role in exchange for proximity to greatness.
I'm sorry, but
as the
can we talk about the TKO problem?
And a hero with everything to lose. The 2020 envision
Randy Orton and he fought
four size and Antoine, the Randy hearing of everything. History advisor.
Bro, who's calling me?
And the unseen hand.
I could no longer watch. I thought it was absolute shit.
He calls Rhodes a puppet champion everyone hates, and he mentions Netflix and ticket prices and 45-minute matches. Then he said,
Bro, my bad, bro. Niggas calling me on my phone.
as he will never come back if Orton doesn't win the championship. The crowd does not react the way a crowd reacts when a reveal works. There is no explosion of recognition, nor pieces falling into place satisfaction that a mystery's resolution is supposed to produce.
I think this is where it gets into the TKO
not
issue.
What happens next quiet, but more of a what the hell is this quiet. Pat McAfee has no history with Randy Orton, and no history with Cody Rhodes either. There is no narrative thread connecting him
easily some of the lamest shit I witnessed. Like, I ain't gonna lie.
To a feud built on mentorship, betrayal, and a 20-year reversal of fortune.
Shout out that move.
He is an ESPN commentator, a former NFL punter, and a man who had spent the months preceding this appearance publicly stating that the wrestling business had, in his words, kind of passed him by. He arrived in the fiction carrying nothing, no accumulated record, and no 20 years of wait. So the mystery caller, when revealed, turned out to be a man who did not know what the call was about. Later that night, Rhodes returned to the ring alone and delivered a promo that felt like a shoot.
It was Pat McAfee. That's like if Scott Hall and Kevin Nash talked about the third man in the NWO, and instead of Hulk Hogan, it was Disco Inferno.
The formation of the New World Order required a shocking betrayal, a hero becoming a villain at the moment of maximum dramatic tension. The reveal of Hogan as the third man remains one of the most electrically charged moments in wrestling history, precisely because it honored the weight of what Hogan represented. For more than a decade, Hulk Hogan had been the hero of this sport, so the shock of the turn was proportional to the size of the investment. Strip away the investment, and the reveal is nothing. A man in a black shirt, undifferentiated from any other man in a black shirt. Disco Inferno was a mid-card comedy character. He danced, and he lost to people who mattered. Therefore, he carries approximately 0 minutes of accumulated weight in the audience's archive. Rhodes wasn't just insulting McAfee. Instead, he was performing the autopsy on the creative decision in real time. The mystery caller subplot works when the answer arrives with narrative mass, when the reveal recontextualizes everything prior and raises the stakes going forward. McAfee's reveal did the opposite, because it shrank the feud and reduced a 20-year blood rivalry to a vehicle for an ESPN personality's WrestleMania appearance. The structure was there, but where the substance was supposed to be, there was nothing.
Meet Max out. He's credit record.
I guess you gotta get the build up into. I thought we was just gonna get into the TKO problem. Like, I like a 30-minute banger, but
Events on a scale of 0 to 10. The April 3rd SmackDown registered a score that placed it among the worst-rated professional wrestling events in the history of the platform, putting it in the company of the 1999 Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view, an event remembered primarily for a main event that was physically unable to complete. Let that sink in for a second. A SmackDown episode, in the final weeks of WrestleMania season, is matching the critical reception of a 1999 independent pay-per-view that became a punchline. That is the exact shape of the damage. What is worse is that this has happened before.
Yeah, this shit was bad too.
And that is what makes it...
Like, this wasn't bad, but Travis Scott just being there after having no fucking business. Fried my rice. Fucking fried it. I'm talking MSG, salt, all that shit.
A pattern rather than an incident. WrestleMania 41. Cody Rhodes defending the championship against John Cena in what should have been one of the culminating moments of a multi-year story.
That was a sweet
Cena
match,
chasing a record-breaking 17th world title in his final WrestleMania. Cena was wrestling heel, slow and calculated. Rhodes absorbed everything and kept kicking out of 4 attitude adjustments. Then, Travis Scott pulled the referee out of the ring. A
Wanna
very
be
mid-recording
wrestlers,
artist,
right.
a corporate playlist placeholder, peripherally attached to the Cena storyline in the weeks prior.
I got 2 Travis Scott songs I listen to, and both of them is Drake verse. Sicko Mode and Meltdown. That's it. Like real shit.
And present in the building for reasons that
I
had
don't know if
nothing to
he's
do
a
with the 20-year
mid
narrative
artist,
playing
though. I
out
don't
inside
know.
those ropes, reached through and yanked the 3 count away at the exact moment the story was supposed to deliver. Cena won the championship through interference, and the record fell with an asterisk. The audience's reaction was not
that
the
bro
reaction
was
of
good.
people who have been told a satisfying story, but rather
You
it
like
was
a
the
Cheez-It,
particular,
though.
exhausted displeasure
Niggas
of
is
watching
hungry.
someone use your investment to pay for something else entirely. Industry reporting confirmed the
These
involvement was
corporate
tied
pieces of
directly
shit.
to Ari Emanuel, a personal connection and a favor that cost the narrative its ending. The audience was loud about it, and then moved on, and the product continued. The lesson
Like,
should
bro, niggas never needed celebrities, bro. That's why I just miss that era where we niggas knew, like, I don't know what is wrong with niggas. Like, we don't. If TKO and WWE is so greedy, why is they putting these celebrities in front of our face? Like, you know that you gotta pay them niggas for an appearance, right? We could give a fuck about them niggas, bro. Like, I just don't care about that shit. I think it's repulsive. What nigga sit at the crib watching Monday Night Raw, watching SmackDown, watching anything wrestling related would pop for some bullshit like okay, Travis Scott entrance. You wanna have a celebrity on the show, guest appearance, star appearance, blah blah blah, cool. You wanna put him in the main storylines? Fuck no. No. Celebrities, they should stay in that mid card to bottom card type of, you feel me? Like real shit. Maybe like, you know, like I was cool with like Lil Yachty, Trick Willie, Sami Zayn. Okay, mid card shit. I'm cool with that. I'm so okay with that. And I really appreciate the mid card. I think some of the best wrestlers are currently in the mid card. Like real shit. Like respect. But
have been learned there. When McAfee walked down that ramp in St. Louis a year later, the audience recognized the
you could have
shape of
had
the
the
engine.
most godly, cold, amazeballs fucking match ever in the main event. The legacy history, the heat going into it. I mean, this shit could have been fantastic. But no. Niggas called Randy Orton and it turned out to be Pat McAfee. The nigga who was just chilling at the commentary booth, a year ago, a few months ago, whenever the fuck he stopped? This doesn't make sense. He's here for nothing. He's here for no reason, bro.
Injury immediately, because they had been here before in the
And I'm not saying McAfee, like, I'm not saying I hate the nigga. I just hated the role he had to play. You know, because I think him and, like, bro, it fried me. Watching WrestleMania live and Jelly Roll is putting a nigga through a table. What are we doing, bro? In the main event? Oh my gosh, bro.
pattern was legible. What they could not yet see was the machine that was generating it. But before
Bad
we get to the
Bunny.
machine, we need to understand what it means to earn a place in
But
the
that
archive.
nigga actually wrestled though.
In late 2020, Bad Bunny, one of the most commercially successful musicians alive, paused his touring schedule, relocated to Orlando, and installed a wrestling ring in his rental home. Every
Respect.
morning at the WWE Performance Center, he trained until his body physically quit, and he spent weeks with Drew Gulak learning to safely throw a closed fist punch, a mechanic many full-timers struggle with for years. Even while flying to Los Angeles for the Grammys, he tracked down Brian Kendrick to work on strikes before flying right
Yo.
back.
You know, it's crazy. Every time I even think about Brian Kendrick, you know, only thing I remember is that Silent Library episode with him. I think another nigga name was Trent, and then Dolph Ziggler, That shit was hilarious. That was some good content for my young ass, man.
Spent 3 months mastering the Canadian Destroyer, a front flip pile driver requiring immense core strength, absolute trust, and a margin for catastrophic neck injury that gives veterans pause.
Yeah, that shit was tough, bro. Alright, listen, no ads.
Smart founders know something.
Nah, that shit crazy though. Like, okay, but like Bad Bunny got in the grid. You know, he was wrestling and he wasn't in no main event. Like, what dumbass? Like, I don't get it. I think they trying to kill the company. Cause any smart nigga, corporate or not, fan or not, would just know the shit they doing is ass as fuck.
And on Wix,
shit's ass, bro.
Then,
shit's
at WrestleMania
ass.
37, he executed it flawlessly on John Morrison to a crowd that genuinely didn't expect it. Dave Meltzer rated the bout 3.5 stars, a critical anomaly for a celebrity.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good for a celebrity match for sure.
Tag match because it wasn't graded on a curve. It delivered. Bad Bunny owed professional wrestling absolutely nothing, but he chose to pay a debt he didn't technically owe. He relocated.
And Logan Paul is like, I'm cool with Logan. Like, okay, Logan Paul, certified wrestler. Come on now, I've been accepted that shit. He's a really good in-ring talent. So
his life for the craft.
He's disregarded.
He took real
right
damage in preparation for a scripted outcome. He arrived having studied the language of the place he was entering, because he understood that the audience's investment was real and deserved a real response. Pat McAfee's debut at WrestleMania 38 was decent. Built on weeks of logical television, his match against Austin Theory peaked with Michael Cole visibly overcome.
Man, and I'm cool with Pat. Like when he had that match against Gunther in NXT, thought it was a good match. I enjoy watching it. I didn't see this Austin Theory match, but he doing it though, the superplexes and the backflips and the blah blah blah, and it's cool.
With emotion. McAfee
I mostly know this nigga
and he understood what the crowd
though.
needed, so it worked.
I don't watch football. I never knew this dude was a football guy until I just
At
mentioned
WrestleMania 39, McAfee arrived unannounced and demanded an impromptu match, but he hadn't trained. Independent reviewers noted he couldn't safely catch opponents on dives, a fundamental safety competency addressed on day one.
You do gotta know that shit.
He had prepared for an appearance, and the distance between that and a wrestling match is the entire contract. In January 2024, McAfee was the surprise 22nd entrant in the Royal Rumble, a highly valued slot in a match where the emotional stakes depend entirely on everyone pretending winning matters.
He should have been number
McAfee
13 or some shit.
Was confronted by two large men, voluntarily climbed over the top rope to eliminate himself,
That's a good
and sat back at the commentary
Waste
desk.
of a slot.
The arena went quiet, falling into the particular silence of an audience whose investment has been casually discarded. The arc from WrestleMania 38 to the 2024 Rumble is the regression of a man who understood the entry fee and then decided to stop paying it. He knows better, as he previously demonstrated that knowledge. When someone who knows better stops putting in the work, the audience feels it. And while they cannot always name what they're feeling, they feel it. They felt it in St. Louis.
Hey bro, respect though. Damn, we halfway through this video, he ain't been talking about that TKO shit.
But he declined it earlier. That is worth sitting with. The entire process bypassed WWE's creative team, and TKO's objective is to replicate UFC's model: dynamic pricing, manufactured scarcity, and massive VIP markups. This isn't a character flaw, it's a structural
this is wrestling. You can't do that. They're different for a reason.
Obligation. To service $3.2 billion in debt, every asset must be interrogated for yield, which means the working class fans who sustained wrestling through its lean decades are no longer the target demographic for this machine. For WrestleMania 42, Upper Deck tickets opened at $266, while ringside reached $8,998.
That's so fried, bro. Me personally, I ain't gonna say I ain't say like never, but I don't really ever like, I don't ever like see myself like going to a wrestling show and I'm not like close enough to where I can genuinely enjoy it, you know? Like, if niggas look like ants to me, I'm already out of it. I'm good, bro. Like, respect.
And VIP packages topped $46,000. But there is a breaking point. Advanced ticket sales tracked 18.8% behind the previous year's event at the same venue. And TKO's attempt to enforce a Las Vegas blackout policy, prohibiting local bars within 50 miles from hosting viewing parties, had to be reversed after the city...
Nah, they fried. You lame as hell. Like, I ain't gonna lie. TKO frying me, bro. I ain't gonna lie. This shit, bro.
He pointed out it had paid a $5 million site fee expressly for economic impact. Meanwhile, the Saudi General Entertainment Authority has paid WWE more than the inflation-adjusted value of every WrestleMania ticket
Undertaker's be my favorite wrestler, man.
ever sold. That is the exact arithmetic
Wait,
of what
what?
the General Entertainment Authority has paid WWE more than the inflation-adjusted value of every WrestleMania ticket ever sold. That is the exact arithmetic of what the archive is worth.
Damn, like Morgan actually owned the damn. What's her name? I thought she was a poster.
An authority has paid
I thought,
WWE
bro, I didn't see.
more.
I'm
That
sorry.
is
I
the
thought she was
entity they
like.
care
I
about.
thought she was like a picture on this wall in the background.
The archive does not appear in the math.
The Valve.
The power to save.
Okay, you finally got into this TKO shit. It took half the video, but yeah, I just hate what they doing. It's okay for everybody to be the demographic you target. You can't target a rich demographic because, nigga, 80% of this fucking planet, probably even more than that, ain't rich. It don't make sense. They not wealthy. How can you target something that's not even a big market for? I don't get it.
And stood at the center of the ring. Houston has a professional wrestling history,
Stupid.
and Punk noted it. He was awake, he said, and the arena was with him from the first sentence. What followed was targeted demolition, with most of it aimed at his WrestleMania opponent, Roman Reigns.
And you are just a buck-toothed Nepo baby who ate dog food for a weird old man. You do bother to show up. You show up late. You gleefully leave early, and you puff your chest around in the back like you're The Rock. TKO sends you your beltless
I'm sorry, bro. Did the boogers just come out my nose? I laughed at CM Punk's joke.
ass to Jimmy Fallon. It's because you're safe.
This was a good ass promo, bro. I'm
Like,
sorry. It was a good ass promo.
You're The Rock. TKO
You're The Rock.
sends you your beltless ass to Jimmy Fallon. It's because you're safe and you're
He was talking so much shit, bro.
boring and you're plastic.
Effectively turning 15 years of genuine grievance into 3 minutes of precision.
Pat McAfee! You want to talk about ticket sales? Do me a favor. Call up that agent and tell him to lower the ticket prices. Because I want all these families to come and watch me stand on Roman.
Like, I just don't. So stupid and retarded. And I think they know it's stupid and retarded. But they're so greedy, they're willing to just, like, bet their bottom ass cheek. Like, yo, like, these niggas will pay for this shit. I don't know how many, like, seats is genuinely in the Vegas arena. I think it was, like, 60K. Like, that was in attendance or something. That still should be frying me, though. Like,
Reigns' throat at WrestleMania.
He named Ari Emanuel, and on live global television, on a Netflix broadcast, in front of an arena that erupted, he identified the CEO of the company that employs him as the person responsible for the ticket prices families can no longer afford, and for the presence of a sports commentator in a wrestling storyline that had been building for 20 years. WWE's response was immediate, as the promo was not posted to the company's YouTube channel, and the abbreviated clip shared on X was edited so that Emmanuel's name was removed.
The reason TKO saying you're
the company that
beltless
produces
ass
and
to Jimmy
monetizes
Fallon.
CM Punk saying things for a living would not distribute CM Punk saying this particular thing. 15 years earlier, CM Punk's microphone was cut to make it look like management panicked. Here, the clip was edited to make it look like something real had escaped. However, the censorship is more revealing than the promo, because TKO is comfortable with nearly everything that happens in a wrestling ring, as it monetizes genuine injury, legitimate physical risk, and the real damage done to bodies in service of manufactured stories. It does this without compunction, at scale, globally. But what it will not allow on its YouTube channel is its champions saying the name of its CEO in an unflattering context. The edited clip is an admission that Punk identified something real, meaning the censorship is a confirmation. In June 2011, CM Punk sat cross-legged on a stage in Las Vegas and dismantled the corporate architecture in anime, something genuine, perhaps same, because nothing structural was ever at risk. 15 years later, in Houston, the same instrument is picked up and played the same way. Punk names the executive, the crowd erupts. The clip gets edited, which functions as its own confirmation that something genuine was grazed. The structural grievances are transformed into compelling television. And then, the ticket prices stay exactly where they were. The crowd in Houston cheered, and then they went home and kept their WrestleMania tickets. This is the mechanism. When the audience builds toward genuine consumer rejection, toward the exact dangerous moment when people decide their investment is no longer worth making, management opens the valve. The dissent is spoken aloud by a beloved performer, and the grievance becomes the product. The audience achieves catharsis and remains economically engaged. In 2011, the pipe bomb re-engaged a disaffected audience and sold merchandise. In 2026, the Houston promo generates clips, extends the WrestleMania news cycle, and keeps the audience in the story long enough to buy the tickets. The worked shoot is not rebellion. It is a pressure valve. There is one thing the valve argument cannot cleanly account for, and it matters. The valve argument implies that Punk knew, that naming Emmanuel was coordinated, calibrated, designed to produce catharsis without consequence. The available evidence makes this genuinely difficult to rule out. The clip was edited. There were no repercussions. The McAfee angle eventually became functional storytelling. WWE Creative, unable to prevent what was done to their program, turned it into programming. The corporation became the villain. The champion became the voice of the audience's frustration. Every element of TKO's synergy mandate was handed to the storytellers as material, and they used it. A machine that can convert its own malfunctions into content is a very powerful machine. But if the worked shoot is always a valve, the audience can never win. Every expression of legitimate frustration is pre-absorbed. Every act of defiance is already accounted for. The kayfabe extends not just to the ring, but to the act of breaking kayfabe itself. The fiction is total. But that is not entirely true. WrestleMania ticket sales running 10,000 per night behind pace is a real consequence. The cage match rating is a real expression of something. Cody Rhodes' shoot-like promo reflected genuine institutional frustration from people whose 20-year program got hijacked 3 weeks before its conclusion. These things are real. They may also ultimately be absorbed. The kayfabe break that costs the most is not when a performer goes off script. Rather, it is when the audience understands that the script belongs to someone who does not care about it. What I cannot determine, and what I do not think anyone watching from outside can determine, is whether the performances of kayfabe breaking in Houston and St. Louis were the real thing, or the simulation of the real thing. I can't tell you whether the microphone was cut because management panicked, or to look like management panicked. Nor whether Punk's fire was genuine resistance, or the most sophisticated possible version of the valve. What I can tell you is that TKO owns the ending, either way. The wrestling ring is, at its most fundamental, a stage, and a space defined by ropes and turnbuckles where physical performers enact scripted stories for a live audience. Its unique properties, the canvas, the geometry, and the sound it makes when a body hits it, are not incidental because they constitute the experience, and the audience is close enough to feel the impact. A prop is something different, as a prop is subordinate to the story being told around it, and it exists to be used. When TKO placed Pat McAfee in the center of the Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton program, it treated the ring as a prop, an asset to be leveraged, and a surface to stand on while generating impression metrics for a client's forthcoming...
Man, niggas knew shit was bad when... I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna say bad, but niggas knew it was up as soon as Matt ads hit the ring, bro. That shit was fried.
Netflix film. The ring was not the stage for a story being told to the audience.
That shit was the stage for Slim Jim.
It was the backdrop for something else entirely. The audience does not dislike Pat McAfee. They dislike being told, through the mechanism of his presence in this particular place at this particular time, that the story they were watching is less important than a Hollywood sizzle reel. Most of all, they dislike the specific disrespect of having been here for decades, having brought their belief and their money and their years, and discovering that the new owners see them primarily as a delivery mechanism for a client's acting resume. Emmanuel is not a character in the story. He owns the story. The math is excellent, but the thing that makes the math work cannot be optimized with a yield model or acquired through M&A. It belongs to the audience.
Man, this nigga ain't watched the liquor wrestling in his life, man. Why did they sell? Oh, man.
They brought it. They can take it back. I can predict WWE's trajectory in exact sequence. McAfee becomes a movie star. The Tulsa King arc succeeds. The Mosquito Bowl exceeds expectations. McAfee leaves WWE. WME collects commission on a global film career, while WWE is left having spent the trust of its audience on a performer whose primary value was always going to be generated somewhere else. Exactly as it was with Johnson, with Cena, with Batista, except those men were full-time wrestlers first. They earned the platform before the platform was used to launch them. When Edge's music hit in Houston in 2020, there was an interval, the brief, suspended moment between the sound and the response, when 50,000 people simultaneously understood what was about to happen and hadn't yet processed it. That interval exists because the audience brought something real. They had been protecting it for 9 years, not knowing if there would ever be an occasion to spend it. The interval is the moment before they find out whether the occasion is real. The people who came to St. Louis on April 3rd brought the same thing. They carried 20 years of Randy Orton and the son of Dusty Rhodes into that building. They followed the story wherever the accumulated weight pointed, even when it pointed against their assigned role. The story reached its weight-bearing moment, and then a man walked down the ramp carrying a sizzle reel for his Hollywood career. The archive is still there. In all the people who were watching, it doesn't go anywhere. Somewhere out there is a person who has been watching Randy Orton since 2004, who watched Cody Rhodes get released, watched him rebuild himself on the independent circuit, watched him come back and win the championship in Philadelphia while the building shook, who came to St. Louis on April 3rd carrying all of that, who felt the story reach its weight-bearing moment, who was ready, in that half second before the music hit, to spend everything they'd been saving. They're still carrying it. And that's the only thing TKO cannot buy. That's the sizzle reel. Cody's side of the story is on screen now, which is a look at 20 years of what it costs to finish something.